I am honored and privileged today to be with Honorable Justice Gita Mittal ma'am. And I will may call her Judge Mittal, I may call her Gita ji, but my respect for her is as high as possible. And I am thrilled because she is one woman leader in India that has truly produced some of the best judgments. A jurist who is par remarkable, if I may use that word, and who is known globally for her work on the bench, but also her work off the bench. She's a compassionate woman. I had a chance to be in her home, and the demeanor in which she treated some of the people below her, as you know, India is very hierarchical, is something, a breath of fresh air for a person like me who lives in the US now, but grew up in India. Ma'am, you have accomplished so much, so I will stop here, otherwise half an hour will be passed by the time I finish your introduction. But welcome, and thank you for sitting with me and talking to me.
Thank you for having me here, Simranjit. First of all, I'd like to open with a very inclusive greeting, which is my hallmark in every program that I do.
Please.
So I begin with inclusion, which is the ethos of India. India is a beautiful mosaic of so many cultures, you know. So it's a namaskar, Sat Sri Akal, Assalamu Alaikum Salam, you know, a good day. All greetings which are universal no matter which part of the world you are in. So if I was doing a talk, a VC on an international forum just now, I would be probably saying good evening in the US, I'd be saying good afternoon to Singapore,
right.
I'd be saying good morning, you know, to somewhere in South America, you know. So, but Indian greetings are universally relevant at any time of the day, just like everything else that we do here, you know.
Excellent. Well, thank you, ma'am. Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Adab, and greetings, and good morning and good evening to our viewers wherever they are in the world. So I'm totally with you. Ma'am, let's start with a little bit of, I know your time is limited today, so we'll try to honor that. Tell me a little bit about your journey to be on the bench. If you can give me the highlights, how did you choose to be a lawyer and then be a judge and then serve as a judge and then retiring, I believe, as Chief Justice of Jammu and Kashmir High Court? Can you just give me the highlights of that path, that trajectory? Because I'm really hoping, ma'am, that someone sitting somewhere in India or anywhere in the world, who knows, maybe Brazil, is going to hear you and be motivated and encouraged and say, I want to be like her.
I went into law education very accidentally. I won't tell you it's a long story here, but I completed law in 1981. And the only conscious decision that I took in my professional career was to practice law. I didn't know a soul in the profession because both my parents were academicians. My mother taught high school and my father taught college. I didn't know a single person in the courts or anybody. I just knew a friend whose friend's mother was a lawyer. And I was told that I could join her as a junior, but I wouldn't get paid. And any work that I got, I would have to give 50% of the fees. And that was the take-off point in 1981. I had a huge sense of gratitude to my parents, you know, who in India, parents fund children's education. There's nothing like student loans, etc., you know, even in higher education. But I was very conscious of the fact that I was going to be 21 and I had got a law degree and I had a license to practice and I was going to start on a profession, but I was still going to be dependent on my parents for my basic needs. And conscious of that, I minimized my needs and took bare minimum necessary to take the public transport to the court. I used to lug huge files from my senior's office in the Delhi Transport Corporation buses every day because I didn't like to go to court without reading a file, even though my senior was going to be arguing it, and I may not even get a chance to seek an adjournment in any case. But I read and read and read, and I carried files back and forth in DTC buses for no money at all. For 16 years I worked as a junior, and then
for 16 years?
16 years I worked as a junior. Towards the end I was getting paid a very bare pittance, you know. It's an interesting episode which I've never talked about, and I don't know whether you'll edit this. But there was a time when my parents were very upset about the fact that I was, working so hard and had nothing to show for it. And there was an advertisement which the Delhi High Court published inviting applications for appointment to the Delhi Higher Judicial Service. That is the District Court Higher Judicial Service. And my mother was very keen that I get out of this rut of working so hard, there were no hours. We were working 24/7, 18 hours a day. So she was very upset that I was working like this and I was making no money, and she wanted a structured existence for me. Very keen that I join the judicial service. But I said I don't want to join the judicial service and go to the trial courts because I've been practicing in the Delhi High Court, which was by itself a place of pride. So she was so upset that my father actually requested me that please apply. There's nothing to say you'll get selected, and even if you get selected, you don't have to join. So I applied, and I found that there were all kinds of people getting interview calls, but I wasn't getting an interview call. And when we made an inquiry, a friend and I made an inquiry as to why I hadn't got an interview call, I was told that my application didn't meet the financial criteria, bare minimum necessary. So I wasn't found fit to be called for an interview for an appointment as an additional district judge and session judge in Delhi. And
because of financial.
Because my income tax return was so low, I was not getting any money paid. And at that time, it seemed so demeaning and so humiliating, But in retrospect, I think it was a blessing in disguise. They say whatever God does, it's with a purpose. Because if I had been selected, my mother would have persuaded me to join the judicial service, and I would have probably spent my entire life as a district judge working in the trial courts. But God had planned something else. My senior became a judge of the High Court, and I got to set up my own practice within 6 years of his going in 1994. In 2000, Chief Justice Pasayat asked me and invited me to the bench of the Delhi High Court. So instead of being in the trial courts, I became a judge of the High Court. Even that was delayed by almost 3.5 years. In 1920 is when he asked for the application, and I was appointed. 2000 was when I was asked for the application I was invited to the bench, and I was appointed after 5 recommendations by Chief Justices, one after another, on 16th of July 2004. And I was a judge in the Delhi High Court till 2018 as an acting Chief Justice from 2017 till August 2018 in Delhi High Court, and then I was appointed as the Chief Justice of the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir. But that came because of, they look at appointments as a matter of seniority, and that's how I became a Chief Justice. But I had never expected to be a judge even. As a first generation lawyer who didn't know a soul in the place. But I think what really, really helps and what is absolutely essential are what I call 3 H's. Hard work, complete honesty, and humility. So, and honesty, when I say honesty, it is brutal honesty with yourself and to others.
Absolutely.
Unless you're able to be completely honest, your integrity has to be 100%. No way will you achieve anything.
Yesterday, I mentioned, ma'am, honesty in the talk yesterday at the Madhyam function, and I mentioned absolutely your word. So I'm so happy you're speaking today. Is that the person you need to be most standing up in terms of your eyes is yourself.
When you look at yourself in the mirror every morning, you should be able to look at your image in the eye. And the mantra which we grew up with, I have one younger sister and me at my home was, my father said, do anything you want to do. I am happy if you want to dance in the street, go and dance, but do it well. So whatever you do it well.
Wow.
Yes.
So honesty, hard work, and the third one was? Humility. And ma'am, with humility, our Indian culture, if I may use that word, and we have so many cultures, so itself is I need to be humble about the word culture, but the way we live teaches us humility. The way we are supposed to respect our parents, I believe, and respect the civilization around us, collaboration that we have to compromise, that we have to go through, teaches us humility. But I am humble today to be in your presence, and a remarkable jurist. And I'm just so pleased that you're sharing your story as to how you became one of the finest judges that we have produced on this amazing land.